Hello, everyone. We are here at the Microsoft Power Platform Conference. My name is Vlad Katrinescu, and I'm with my good friend Gokan. How are you doing, Gokan?
Bonjour, everyone. I'm doing very well, Vlad. How about you?
I'm doing great. A bit tired. This is the end of the first day of the conference, and it was quite a packed day. Gokan, what happened today?
We had 3 amazing keynotes, lightning session of 25 minutes, and a bunch of friends, connections we made, saw again, and exchanged ideas. So if I had one word to describe the event, the first ever event, amazing.
Awesome. And there's over 6,000 attendees here at the event, not to mention over 500 speakers, sponsors, and more. But the topic of our video today is to talk about the highlights of the keynote. And Gokan, you did mention it. There was not only one, but there was 3 keynotes that happened today. And they're all on different products. They all had different presenters. But if there was one team or that really linked them all together, what was it, Gokan?
Can I express myself in 3 words?
Of course.
Aye. Or AI.
Or Copilot, I think,
Let's go
in
for
Microsoft
Copilot.
works, but
Yes.
AI for everything else. So, Gokan, let's talk about the first keynote. Who was the presenter of the first keynote? I think everybody knows him. So
or superhero.
The first keynote was all about the Power Platform, and the main presenter was Charles Lamanna, CVP at Microsoft, and one of the people in charge of the Power Platform ever since it started. I think before even it had the name of the Power Platform, Charles was there on the team. And the way that the keynote started was really a very interesting video, a very inspiring video on the fact that the artificial intelligence revolution is today. It's not something that we're just starting to talk about, something that will affect people in 5, 10 years. It's something that is happening today. The most innovative companies are using it today. And if you're not looking into it, you're falling behind as an organization.
And that's what they aim to say in their keynotes. They always talk about next-gen AI. It's not something brand new. It's, as Vlad mentioned, people already using it. And now Microsoft is working on the next generation AI toolset with all of those new announcements.
So after the video, Gokan, what's the first thing that Charles covered?
Well, he said that he was the number man, and then he said that he wanted to share some insights about numbers, about the usage, about how many user groups we had and how many monthly active users we had, and all those of numbers we actually never received before, which was phenomenal for understanding how the adoption was going very well with the Power Platform. Do you have some numbers?
I do, but first you mentioned a really important word, the community.
Oh, the community, yes.
The community was one of the first topics that was covered. And I mean, both of you come from the SharePoint community, the best community in tech. And it's great to see that the Power Platform is starting to have its own community and getting, close, not yet there, but growing to where the SharePoint and Microsoft 365 community is. So one of the first things that Charles did was to thank the community, thank all the people doing the monthly calls, answering the forums, and to put the numbers, because as you said, Charles said he is a numbers man. There's now over 5.2 million monthly active users on the Power Platform community, and there's over 480 user groups. So if there was a user group meeting every day, there would still be days where we would have 2 of them at the same time. And that's an important reminder for all of you. Make sure to go check the Power Platform community, check out all the user groups out there, and check if there's one in your area that you can join, because it's amazing to be able to connect with like-minded people year-round in your location.
Absolutely.
Talking about numbers, to keep talking about them, you mentioned numbers around the adoption of the Power Platform. First number we got, really small one, 30 million monthly active users for the Power Platform, which Gokan, we were both there last year at the Power Platform Conference. If I remember correctly, 1 year ago it was 20 million.
20 million, yes.
So that's quite a huge growth. 10 million monthly active users
In 1 year.
just 1 year. And another really interesting number, which again, I was hoping it would be bigger just because of our competition, but Power Automate is at 10 million monthly active users. So again, a really huge number, but I don't know why. Maybe because I love Power Automate. I thought if anybody using the Power Platform would be using Power Automate. So, but I guess there's still work I have to do with evangelizing and teaching people on Power Automate. So this way, next year the numbers are closer together.
Well, Charles also mentioned that when they released Microsoft Flow, like was even not Power Automate,
called Microsoft Flow, yeah.
They had 10,000 active users per month. So still, it's a phenomenal number to see in a couple of years, from 10,000 going to up to millions. It's impressive to see. Impressive.
Yeah. We gotta keep with the numbers team. So the keynote plan was pretty easy, right? So 5 announcements, 4 around AI, which all had 4 live demos.
Indeed.
And 1 around a topic that's very close to my heart, which is skilling.
Skilling, yes.
But before we talk about the demos, something I want to really mention is that we had a clear vision on Microsoft's AI goal, which is not the way you call it, autopilot, where AI takes over, but it's really people working side by side with AI. And the goal of it is, right now, of course, the Power Platform is fairly easy, right? Even me and you, that when we did SharePoint, we were setting up BI tools for other people to do reports, but we're never really able to go into reporting services and things like that to create reports. That was experts doing in the field. But now, even again, me and you that have no formal training in data analysis, we can go in, create awesome Power BI reports.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier than it was before. But how can we use AI to really enable anyone that can use PowerPoint, Word, to be able to create those? And this is where Copilot fits in. How do we take people from any industry with no technical knowledge and enable them to create awesome flows, reports, and also, I think one of the highlights was the different careers in the audience. It was not only technical. We had marketing people, we had HR people, we had people that used to be videographers that want to switch to becoming IT professionals. So all kinds of audiences. But okay, let's start talking about the demos and the announcements.
There you go.
First one, Gokan. Well, it has to do with Power Apps, and Power Apps is a bit of your favorite child of the gang, so I'll let you cover it.
So yeah, we started with Power Apps, and we've seen 3 demos, and I'm going to talk about the first 2. So they always use a big client, and they showed us that for Power Apps, they've been using Toyota cars, and with Copilot, you'll get actually the new ability to upload Excel spreadsheets within your Power App, and then that will create a Dataverse table for you, and all the data will be transformed from your Excel spreadsheets to the Dataverse table. So, and again, a lot of people are using Excel mainly for storing data as a database, if I may call it, which is absolutely wrong.
We all know SharePoint List is the best database out there.
There you go. And that will actually help bringing a lot of those contents into your Dataverse, which is way better than only an Excel spreadsheet somewhere in your local drive. Then we move to the second demo, which was the ability to embed the Copilot control into your app. Well, that means that any end user would be interacting with data without even going outside the app. So you will get the new control, Copilot, where you can actually talk to your app and get interaction with your data in the backstage.
That for me was crazy awesome, because as much as we can plan an app, right? We can talk to users, we can really plan everything. There's always something that we didn't think about. So just by having that component in there for every other scenario where a user can use natural language, I mean, what was the setup? It was only 2 steps to set it up, right?
Less than 3 steps, I guess. That was just add your control, configure it by adding websites, because they also added the external websites where they can actually go outside and check for information and then bring that data into your app. So that's something that we could use every day, where you can actually go and search for data internally as well as externally. So that was really mind-blowing as a demo.
And there's a third part to the demo.
And that's your baby,
That's
PVA?
my second baby.
There you go.
Power Virtual Agents, all this experience that we just talked about, being able to customize how the Copilot component works in the app, we can customize it with Power Virtual Agents. So it can be connected not only to the data in the app, but we can also say, hey, if there's stuff that's not there, go check this website, go connect to other topics. So having that is really awesome. And so that was the demo. Gokan, what was the announcement related to that demo?
Yes, so at the end of the demo, they clearly said, public preview for Power Apps Copilot. And that was like a huge applause that we received. Finally, we can test all of those phenomenal new announcements in our tenant.
So it might take a few days, maybe even a few weeks until you see it, but it's now in public preview. So on the next app you build, make sure you try out leveraging Copilot and then starting to plan on how you can maybe add it to every app where it makes sense in your organization. Now let's move on to the second one. And a big company, like you said, for each demo they had a company use case. It was T-Mobile, a multinational wireless carrier, internet service provider, and this one was for Power Pages. So, Gokan, can you walk us a bit through the demo that they did?
Yes. So basically, they showed us how you could create a Power Page with Copilot, where you get a wizard with Copilot, where you explain what you want, and then the wizard would get you through multiple screens, where you could choose for a design, where you could even choose for pages. You could say, oh, I'd like to get a support page or a HR page or XYZ page, depending the context you've given to Copilots. So that is likely the site creation process with Copilot. Once your site is created, you got the second part of the demo, where you could actually go and talk to Copilot and explain him what you want to see on your pages. One of the examples that we got is for T-Mobile. They had a website where they could showcase some information about T-Mobile, and they wanted to have a support form within Power Pages. For people who don't know how to use Power Pages and how to interact with Dataverse in the backend, how you can save data, read data, permissions, well, it can take some time. With Copilot, and believe it or not, the guy just wrote a few sentences, and in a couple of seconds, he got his form on the page. And you could clearly see the tabs, the information, values that could potentially work with your Power Page. I haven't seen, we did not see like adding data into that form, but even like the fact that you could receive a form by just writing to Copilot was pretty impressive.
And not only that, I mean, we had branding demos. So the presenter asked Copilot, hey, can you add the T-Mobile team?
Yes.
It went out, found the colors, applied it. And the form that you mentioned, one of the things that they wanted to achieve was to have a validation on the email field. Make sure that it's actually an email that's provided. And we've both done regular expressions before. How much do you love regular expressions? Not really, right? And opened up code editor, asked Copilot to create a validation that it's actually an email in there. It was done, added to the form, and that's it.
That was it.
In addition to that, Gokan, well, not in addition, after that demo, what was the announcement that was made?
So that Power Pages Copilot was in public preview too. That we could test it in our tenants within a couple of days, weeks, if your tenant is in targeted release, and so on and so on.
Okay, now, third one, I'll talk about it.
It's your baby.
It's Power Automate. It's my favorite baby out of the gang. I mean, you love them all, but you still always have your favorite.
Always.
This one was really exciting because it's something that we have seen before, but something that I think got the biggest applause. So of course, we had a demo of Copilot in Power Automate. That is not necessarily new. We've seen it at the European Power Platform Conference in June of this year. So it's been in preview for a while. However, it's now in general availability. So
Yes.
Copilot in Power Automate now in GA, which means that if your company has some policies that you cannot use preview tools, you will now be able to use it for production. It's in general availability. In addition to that, with the new Copilot offering, also came the new designer.
Yes.
And I didn't mind the designer before, but I had a 49-inch screen that I bought, so I can easily work on flows because
For gaming, right?
no, for work, not for gaming, never. But the old designer was good, but it didn't make it easy. As flows grew larger, it made it difficult to consume, to understand. So the new designer, you can easily zoom in and out. You can easily move around. That got a huge applause, by the way.
That was freaking out. Like when people could see that they could zoom in and zoom out.
Easily.
Oh my God.
And another thing that was new was the expression editor, which also, again, got a huge applause. That it makes it so much easier to create expressions, which I think we all know it's important expressions. We all know when to use them. But every time we have to use them, we're like, oh, I have to go Google or Bing the expression and see what to do. So the new designer and Copilot in Power Automate now generally available. And I can't wait to be able to use it for each single one of my flows now.
One thing that I also loved during the demo is she had a very complicated Power Automate flow, and she just went to Copilot and said like, hey, I don't understand that flow. Can you just, explain this to me? And then Copilot just went through all the flow and explained her step by step what the flow was doing. So this is also a phenomenal use case for people who are just new in the organization, which have no idea what the Power Automate flow is doing. They can easily understand and just go and edit things without really being an expert, because they get the hands-on through Copilot.
Gokan, you opened a bit of a Pandora box here for me, so I'll side conversation from the keynote here. I did mention it in my session yesterday.
Okay.
Something that when we saw that complicated flow broke my heart a bit is that none of the connectors were renamed, right? So we had update item 1, update item 2, update item 3. None of those connect actions were renamed. So of course people get lost. So hopefully we're going to have Copilot for action rename soon in the future. I can't wait for that announcement. But until then, if you're listening to this, make sure you add appropriate names to your actions in your Power Automate flows. This way, you don't need Copilot to understand what your flow does. But again, if ever you're in that situation, Copilot is there for you to, like you said, Gokan, explain to you what the flow did.
Yep.
Okay, next demo.
The next
was
one.
still Power Automate, so I'll talk about it. The next demo was about a fairly new functionality of Power Automate, which is process mining. Now, process mining, I know that it might be new for a lot of you. So let's do a quick explanation. What process mining allows you to do is, again, let's say Gokan, me and you worked at a client, we automated some business processes. Of course, it was me and you, so we did amazing work, everything works, but still, we maybe moved the process that was existing before on paper or on-prem to the cloud. How about we wait 6 months and then we analyze all of the different runs of that process? That's what process mining can do. It can go back, look at all your flow history and say, hey, you know what? This step in the process took on average 7 days. This step took 3 days. Out of all your logic, and Gokan, when we design a process, the customer gives us, those are the 15 things that can happen.
Yep.
Process mining can even go in and say, hey, you know what? This 3 options never actually got hit. So it's a way for you to understand the bottlenecks of a certain process and also to understand how it runs in reality. Well, now that's already available today, it was available today, but what we have today is Copilot for process mining. So not only we can see that information, we can ask Copilot, hey Copilot, I understand that my process is slow. What can I do to make it better? And in the example, Copilot found the bottleneck and it proposed two solutions.
Yes.
One for a Power Automate flow and
Power App.
and one, again, for a Power App. So really saying, hey, your flow could do this, your app could do this, and this should help you in your bottleneck. So that was, wow, really amazing. And what was the announcement that went with that?
Also, they announced it that the process mining would be public preview as part of today.
As well as of today, as you said. Again, it might take a bit of time until you get there, until you get it in your tenant, but it's now public preview. So those were the four demos and 4 AI announcements.
Yes.
So Copilot, Power Apps, public preview with the component, customizations with Power Virtual Agents, Copilot in Power Pages, public preview, Copilot in Power Automate, generally available, and Copilot for process mining, public preview. But there was a fifth announcement.
Yes.
One that is near and dear to my heart, and I even have the Pluralsight t-shirt here on me today, and it's upskilling. And last year there was, in Orlando, there was the release of the Power Up program, not Power App. Power Up program, where people that want to switch careers into tech can go in, learn the Power Platform, get certified, and then hopefully find a job. And we had some great statements, great testimony for people that went through the program and managed to change their career. It was really, really inspiring. But that's already there. So Gokan, what was the announcement today?
So what we heard from the keynote is that they will expand this to groups. So we will have the Power Up for groups where organizations and groups of people can just register and take part of that program to empower themselves within Power Platform. So that was a big announcement, and they already shared some numbers now running into that program. So I think their wish is to go way higher on those numbers to get more people embracing the Power Platform.
And it's always more motivational when you're together with other people learning. And I know a lot of people that watch my Pluralsight courses where, again, a lot of teams are listening to it, a lot of enterprise subscriptions. The more people that share a certain goal motivate each other to get there. So that was pretty cool. So that was it for the Charles keynote. Now let's talk about the second keynote, which was by Thomas Donkey, CEO of GitHub. And oh my God, what a keynote.
That guy, my apologies, like this person, because he's still a CEO, right?
Yeah.
Is just amazing. Like the way on how he presented, slideless, if I may call that.
There's a few slides at the beginning.
A few slides, that's okay. Like
maybe 5.
Yeah, but like the fact that he showed us that the 10x development in Power Platform or in any other programming language was not impossible. And I was like, that's not possible, mate. I don't believe like that if you have a project of 10 days, you'd be able to do that in 1 day. That looks...
No. First of all, before you continue, project managers, go on mute, please. We don't want you hearing this. But the 10x developer is, how can we make a developer like Gokan, instead of billing us 10 days,
in 1 day.
How can we only get Gokan to bill us one day, but achieve the same result? Which again, I think like you said, if somebody would have told me that 2 days ago, I would have said they enjoyed Vegas a bit too much before.
And the fact that he said like, okay, let's build a game and let's do the snake game. And I remember from back in the days when I was still in school, I had to do like a game like that. It took me 6 months. And I was like, he will never be able to do that in 30 minutes. That's not possible, because he talked for 5 minutes, he showed some slides, and then he just started. And the amazing show started from there. He went on GitHub, he just created a workspace, added a few JavaScript files, and he just talked.
Copilot created a workspace.
Oh yeah, but he talked with Copilot, right? And he just asked Copilot to do stuff like add me buttons, add me a screen, I like to build a snake game, and so on. And you know what really was impressive? That he even corrected, remember,
Yes.
Copilot?
Yeah. And Copilot, don't get me wrong, GitHub Copilot was the first Copilot that came out. It's been 2019, 2020, if I
20
remember
yeah.
correctly,
20.
when GitHub Copilot came out. And I knew about it, right? I know that I can go in Visual Studio, have an extension, and then it write code for me. But the GitHub Copilot chat, and this is outside Power Platform, right? It's really
yeah.
GitHub Copilot chat, that it was there and it was having that conversation, like you said, hey, help me with this, and then, yeah, that's not really what I wanted.
No, yeah.
Hey, you missed that. And it was like an ongoing conversation, like me when I talked to a real dev and I asked them to do stuff for me, it was the same thing, but with AI. It was so impressive, and the end result was a snake game
So good. With
that
buttons.
was branded like a Nokia phone.
Oh my God.
So that was
so
quite amazing. Actually, you know what? In the description of this video, so take a look below, I'll have a link to the game, because the game that was live during the keynote was actually published. We could play it after, in between the breaks. So check out the description below. I'll put the link so you can check the game that was built during the keynote. But
So yeah, if I had to conclude this, I would say, and I don't know if you agree with me, but the human imagination is now surpassing technology, because from now on, nothing has a limit for me. It's like sky is the limit. I can ask anything I want, and Copilot will reply to me. So from now on, sky is the limit.
well, what I remembered is that I don't need to pay beers to the devs anymore to keep them for favors. I can now just replace them with Copilot, and I can become a dev.
You
I can become even I can become a dev.
because what he did was only copy paste and then a few modifications. But
Well, I
yeah,
thought that's 80% of being a dev, doing copy paste anyway. But okay, so I'm
my
joking,
God.
devs. Remember, we're IT pros, so we
There
have to
you
make
go.
those jokes.
There
It's
you go.
part of our nature.
there you
Okay,
go.
now let's talk about the last
part,
keynote. The last keynote was done by Sumit Chauhan from the Microsoft 365 team. And as again, Microsoft 365 pros, we're happy to see some M365 in there. Gokan, what's the keynote about?
Again, about Copilot within the Office suite tools such as Word, Excel, Word, PowerPoint.
There was
and
Excel in
Outlook.
there too.
Did we see Excel?
We did see Excel.
Okay, then I missed that part. Basically, just having a chat with your Copilot and asking questions within your team's PowerPoint and so on and so on. The little drawback of that was, and if I may say drawbacks, you're right, we hadn't really had something new within Copilot and the M365 suite. However, we got insights. Insights about how Microsoft is dealing with Copilot with numbers, like how many percentage of people are scared with Copilot. Will they get Copilot to do some impressive stuff? Do you have some of those numbers, Flat? Remember those numbers?
Yes, I do remember some of them because they really marked me.
Yeah.
So 40% of people are scared
There we go.
that AI will take their job, which is quite huge. But at the same time, which it was a bit weird for me, the numbers, because it didn't add up to 100.
70.
But it was 70% of people wanted to leverage AI in order to make their job easier. So I guess there's a bit of overlap. You want to use AI to make your job easier, but at the same time, we're afraid that AI will fully take over your job. So that might explain it. But as you said, nothing really new was announced. They did all of that just a week ago. I think September 21st was a big Copilot event.
Yeah.
But something that I think maybe we don't realize it, Gokan, because we're M365 pros as well as Power Platform pros, but a lot of the people in the audience, they don't really do M365.
so
they're in Dataverse, they're
was
in
a good
model-driven apps and Dynamics all day long. They might not have seen those same news around Microsoft 365 that we consume daily. So even if, again, nothing new was announced, I think it was still very valuable to the audience to have that keynote there. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, Microsoft 365 is the productivity cloud. Whatever you do in life, you're going to need to create documents, presentations, and Copilot will enable you to be better add that.
Yeah.
So I think that's it for the keynotes, right, Gokan?
One thing we missed for the last part.
We missed something.
Yes, the release date, Vlad.
Well, the release date for M365 Copilot is November 1st. So that's in less than a month. I can't wait to try it. I hope I'll be able to get a license from Microsoft to be able to try it. Right now we know that licensing is $30 per user per month for M365 Copilot, but I've heard there's some other things you need to have before, so we can't confirm a lot of those. Microsoft has still to publish a lot of those, but I really can't wait to get my hands on it. And
Less than a month.
Less than a month, and hopefully now finally make better PowerPoints than you, because I'll have AI help me.
There you go.
But other than that, Gokan, was there anything in the keynotes that you wish you saw more of, or any announcements that you really hope you would see?
Well, Vlad already told it a couple of minutes ago, like, I was really expecting or hoping to get the next gen AI, which today we called Copilot. I was hoping to get something like Autopilot, like AI doing not only having natural language with you, but helping you even when you don't ask him questions. Like whenever you do stuff, that a pop-up would come and say like, hey, you're using that function, but that's maybe not good, like having an autopilot. But I guess that's going to be for the coming years.
I don't know. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of having a co-pilot and not an autopilot. I like being the pilot. I like being in control. So I like it this way. I don't want it to change. I like the current vision of Microsoft. Only Copilot for now. But that's it. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. If you want to be here next year, make sure you register early. Conference usually sells out, and the earlier you register, the cheaper the price will be. So make sure you join us at the 2024 event. And until then,
use code Vlad.
Use code Vlad100. This way you save an extra $100. And until then, if you enjoyed this video and want to get the latest news of Microsoft 365, Power Platform, and certifications, make sure to like the video, subscribe on YouTube. And again, Gokan, thank you so much for being here. I think this is the third video in 3 weeks. You're becoming almost a regular on the channel. I'll need to give you admin rights soon. But thank you very much, everybody, for watching.